Hey everyone, my name is Mike Vaughn. I'm a writer for Geek Vibes Nation, and I'm also the author of the Ultimate Guide to Strange Cinema. And I also host the weekly show on here, the Video Addict New Release Roundup. But that's not why we're here today. This is a new series called Reviews That Go Bump in the Night, and as you can see, I am not alone here.
Yeah, it's Dom Fisher here. A man of the people, a man of the internet, and a man who loves horror.
Oh yeah. And we are talking about probably the worst movie you'll ever see. And that is Amityville Death Toilet. It's awful. That's our show. Thank you so much. Honestly, I feel like I've seen worse movies, but I can't remember kind of a worse movie that I've seen than Cheap. Basically, this is sort of like that trend of like every five Amityville movies come out. They're all from the same studio. They're all very low budget, like maybe even no budget.
I know it's the lowest of budgets.
um, and yeah, like my like brains are kind of leaking out of my ears because like it's like one of those things where you had like a really long mentally and physically draining day and then you watch a movie that's so I don't know how to even and like you feel like you're just in a fucking coma because you just glaze over and like you're ready to die. What was your first impressions of this movie? Like I feel like it's barely a movie.
I know. I mean, within the first minute, you're like, "What the hell is this?" And as people who watch film all the time, we can appreciate someone trying to make a good story and having a small budget, but there's almost like no story really. Look, I mean, if you can put something together with like basically no budget, cool. But when it's this outrageous, and I mean, when you see a knife that is made out of aluminum foil, like it's like you could have got a real knife because it wasn't touching anything.
Yeah.
And I get that some of it is they're partially in on their joke. Some stuff they know that they could have used a real knife, I'm sure, because the cleaver looks pretty real. The blood is horrendous. I mean, because it's all liquidy and like not even red sometimes. I don't know. I will say, I mean, the one positive I can take away from it is that this is on a streaming service and it's on YouTube. So if you're someone who's trying to make film, I mean, you can get it somewhere. Somebody will like it. If you're young and you're like, you're all you got is your iPhone, you can make the same quality film as this one. If you partake in the grass, I mean, I'm sure you'll get some great laughs. But yeah, I mean, I really was trying to find like is there something they're trying to do? Maybe the story will be good. Maybe there's this something hidden in between the scenes that'll be, oh, you know what? This is a redeeming quality. It has none. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely will like echo everything you said. There's no real story, but it's really interesting because I was thinking about like, okay, you have movies like The Room that was like this guy's passion project, but it was so wildly ludicrous that like it kind of had that charming, endearing kind of
Yeah.
quality. But what I don't like about these movies, and this is something that's sort of like okay, after the first Birdemic, the magic was kind of lost. Kind of like this movie, they're in on the joke, so it's like we're gonna use body parts that are like clearly plastic. Do you remember like the feet that were like clearly made?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something cynical about it. There's not that like joy of like, okay, I was trying to make a really good movie, but like I got my friends together and we had a good time. Maybe like the budget was zero, but you could still feel like there was some kind of passion behind it.
Yeah. It almost kind of felt like almost like a middle finger a little bit, kind of like this is just so you'll click on it and we'll get some ad revenue.
Mm.
Because I mean, most people, if you click on a movie with a weird title, I mean, Amityville, Death Toilet, you're gonna be slightly intrigued because the posters are always pretty cool. So like, what is this? You're gonna make it at least 20 minutes in because you're gonna want to know, like, okay, it looks crazy or it looks weird, it looks terrible, but I gotta kind of see what they're gonna do with it. And by 20 minutes, you've seen two or three, maybe four commercials or ads, and that equals bucks. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a cash grab because they can pump these out for essentially nothing. Because I mean, I would assume that these, like the body parts are things lying around in their someone's garage that they bought for Halloween, 10
Yeah.
years ago. And I mean, they made the knife. So uh I don't want to say anybody, was just in it for kind of a malicious cash grab because you didn't really give us, like you said, you gave us a passionless project. Now we know big IPs, oh, it's a cash grab. They're making 10 of these movies, but at least there's, good acting or good special effects or a good story or something there that is worth your time. And this is like, oh, you just like spitting at me right now.
Yeah.
You're flushing me. You're getting the toilet water on me.
Yeah, and you know what bugged me right away? Like bugged me to a point where it like grated on me was like the repetition. And by that I mean like when they would literally repeat.
Yeah. I thought I was tripping at first because I was like, did my computer skip? And I was like, no, he just said the same thing 4 times.
It is wild. I've never seen, and I know why they did it. It's to pad the runtime out.
Yeah.
They're like, okay. I mean, some of this I kind of wonder if it was ad libs and they were kind of like, okay, just keep, stretch this out, make it a little bit longer. Like I kid you not, I feel like the movie is like 20% this like
Yeah, I need you here now because now you need to be here at the house where there's a toilet that's killing people. Killing people they've been killed by the toilet. And you're like,
We have tourist season starting in a month. I've got reports. I don't know if you have got that report too. There's a house in our town. There's a toilet in a house that's killing people. How in the world are we going to get tourists to come to our town if a toilet is killing people? Chief, we got 3 weeks before the summer vacation season starts. Everything. Put every deputy detective you have on that. Chief, this isn't the first time this has happened. This is your career. This is my career. This is the town's future. Please solve this and find that toilet now. We have 3 weeks or this town dies. Chief, get it done.
and the toilet, the toilet's killing people, and you have to be here because the toilet's killing. I mean, that is literally that.
We have to find this toilet.
Like I'm sure Andre's going to splice in some clips to really demonstrate how bizarre this is.
Hey, Melissa, have you heard anything on the toilet yet? We're waiting to hear. Please let me know.
And I feel like there are some of these like Amityville IPs that are kind of interesting or fun, or like they do have like a little bit of like a seed of an idea that could be cool. But like, I just don't know what.
No, it almost kind of felt like I was like, you know what? Let me try to find some kind of meaning to this thing. And I was like, maybe there was somebody that while they're sitting around the room, they were like, man, my wife really wants me to like fix a toilet. I don't want to fix this toilet. And they were like, I got an idea. Let's make a movie about you not wanting to fix a toilet. All right, let's do it. Because I mean, I don't know what else, like how this comes about.
Well, that's funny because like what I thought of right away was, do you remember in Scary Movie 2 where they had like that the cold open was a like Amityville's exorcist sort of,
Oh yeah,
and like they had that like gag where the priest was like taking a dump and like
yeah.
lies and stuff. I'm like, they saw that scene and were like, let's make that an entire movie.
With raptors.
right? There was crows, there was sharks, there was raptors, there was an ape man,
Yep.
which I feel like he was that a character from something else? Like,
I don't know. I was trying to figure that out too because when you really look at it, none of this stuff made sense. I mean, I understand this this toilet is, can talk apparently, and is some kind of entity, but I don't know how it goes. You know what? I'm gonna bring you zombies.
I'm an empath. I'm a paranormal investigator.
I'm gonna conjure up some flies and a velociraptor out of nowhere. Like, and it's crazy because the overlay is so bad,
yeah,
and then the fire is horrendous. Like, I think the only redeeming parts of the movie is there's a few grainy, super overexposed shots of the house that
yeah.
worked with the music at times, but they had to be like either the camera they were using for those house shots were really bad, or they were like 2 miles away and they were like zoom in as much as possible.
Like they were stealing the shot, so they had.
Yeah.
I kept thinking like they didn't do anything to the toilet to make it look evil. You could literally go to like the dollar store and get those giant googly eyes. And like you're on a budget and you could still fit your $100 budget within these. I mean, slap some googly eyes.
Yeah.
You could like put like the things to make it like the arched eyebrows to make it look angry. Like
You could
that,
splatter some fake blood on there somewhere.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like, okay, I get the budget's low. I get that these are, you're banking off an IP that is going to bring people, like you were saying, like, you're curious. It's like, marketing 101. But like,
Yeah.
when you want to do something kind of fun or just something that's a little bit more interesting, I mean, this is a movie where I literally watched it like an hour ago. If I had not taken notes, I would have kind of forgotten most of it because it's really just one of those movies that goes right out of your head.
Yeah, I think for me, like after like the first like 15, 20 minutes, I just started to want to look at what was at like weirdly out of place or what looked really weird. Like the mayor's name is Mayor Dump, and he's in that office, which is clearly not his office because there's a portrait of like a black guy surrounded by a bunch of women. Like it's that guy's office. And then there's all these motivational posters that are all stapled to the wall, which I thought was hilarious. Like if this is just like considered like a comedy, it might work if it didn't have
Yeah.
Amityville on there, or if you called it like Amityville Death Toilet a comedy or something. Because there is stuff that's so stupid that it's hilarious because after a while you just have to go, you know what? I can only laugh at this thing. Unfortunately, it's so bad, and that's what you're laughing at. It's not like some good jokes or anything. It's just bad, but it's you can clearly tell that that was just somebody's house they were at for one.
Yeah.
But I think it was in the thank yous at the end. Like because and especially since they had to shoot all in the daytime, they're like, hey, when you guys go to work and go to school, can we like use your house? Sure, I guess, And that's probably where the budget was. The
Yeah.
budget was like, hey, we're gonna pay you to use your house. All right, we don't have nothing else to use.
Speaking of noticing weird things, I made a note that there was some really bad green screen, but like, okay, that's kind of par for the course, yes. But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this one, like he was just outside making a phone call, and it was just clearly he was not there. It was clearly a green screened. It's so fucking bad. And I don't mind, like I love bad movies. Like I
Yeah,
like fun bad movies. I mean, you too. Like I
yeah.
like
Zombievers is one of my favorites.
yeah, like it's just, there's movies that maybe they're supposed to be like horror comedies, maybe they're like unintentional comedies, but they have, like I said, they have something kind of endearing or something sort of charming to embrace it, where this just feels like, come on, stupid, we know you're gonna watch this,
Yeah.
so who cares? Why do something fun or interesting, or even like it almost seems like the cheaper they can make it look, the more people, like, they think the more people are gonna kind of like it.
Right.
It's sort of like the wrong lessons we learned from like The Room,
Yeah.
or Birdemic. And those movies are bad, but they're like made with like a lot of love. You can tell that.
Yeah, you can tell if somebody was like trying the hardest, and this was somebody being like, whatever,
Yeah.
we'll just throw some shit together. I mean, because we've all seen YouTube videos that are very highly produced from someone's house with very little knowledge of making a film or a short film that would look way better than this. I'm pretty sure I've seen like 12-year-olds make pretty good videos that far supersede this movie.
Yeah. You do not need a big budget to have creativity and like to make something a little bit extra uh interesting. Or I mean, yeah, okay, a good script doesn't cost anything. Even if you're not exactly wanting to sort of reinvent the wheel, that's fine. Just go full ridiculous. Like, have it be like, if we're gonna do this, like, how about it be like a camp and it's an outhouse that kills people, and you have like scantily clad women that are, getting sucked into the porta potty. See, I just wrote a movie.
Right.
I just wrote a movie infinitely more interesting and better than this, because like, even if you don't have something with a lot of substance and you want to just fall back on tropes, that's fine. That's like, tropes are kind of comforting. That's why they're tropes.
Right.
You know what you're signing up for when you're watching a movie like this.
Yeah,
um
I think if they would have leaned on I mean, which they it almost feels like they did, but they didn't. They just kept saying the words over and over. But if they would have leaned on him, or was it Greg the Ghost Hunter?
I'm an empath. I'm a paranormal investigator.
If they would have leaned on him streaming that hard, then it could have been just a streaming movie, like him live streaming all his adventures. And if
yeah.
he would have set up like this is what he does, instead of him talking about it all the time, it would have hit a little better. Instead of being about the toilet per se the entire time, it would have been about him, trying to catch entities on camera. And then, because I mean, the best line of the whole thing is him at the end when he's like, to all my 199 followers, and
Oh,
this
right.
whole time he's trying to make himself seem mad important, and he's like, I need that one more follower to keep this URL. And it's like, yeah, if y'all would have kept that as the main thing, it could
Yeah,
have
like the
been,
motivation. Yeah.
yeah, it could have still been, it would have been bad still, but it would have like, okay, I get what they were trying to do.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I wanted to bring that up. Like, that bugged the crap out of me, because I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Like, you can't keep your URL with if you don't get
I don't know
200,000
either.
subscribers. Like, what? It's like one of those things where like it feels like a boomer wrote this, and like they don't quite understand how YouTube works, but they're like, it
Yeah.
sounds right, right? Like, there's some that stakes. Yeah, I don't know. It, I was like, I don't think that's how that works. Um, gosh, yeah, there's really not a lot to say about this movie. I wish it was just a little bit more fun. I mean, I understand that it's not going to be deep. I get that it's going to be like silly and weird. So a friend of mine made this movie that I love, and I always will plug. I'll link in the description where you all can check it out. He's a great guy. You should support him. but it's called Bloody Bloody Bible Camp. And it's this really fun satire horror comedy set in this religious camp. And it's hilarious. Does all the jokes land? No, he would even tell you that. But, he worked his ass off and, had a blast, but it was still work. It like sucks because it's not like a movie that sort of has the Amityville brand or something. Like more people will probably end up seeing Death Toilet than,
Right.
Bloody Bloody Bible Camp. But
Right.
one tried really hard and made a cool indie movie, and one is just like shit and fart jokes and not even really good ones.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that kind of irks me a little bit, because I like have indie filmmaker friends that are doing these cool projects and like nobody sees them, or like they have to hustle it a little bit harder for them to finally get their breaks. A flashy title will get people in the door, but I feel like when you make a good movie, I don't know, like I feel like that's worth more than just making a quick sequel.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
mean, same. I mean, I have I guess you can call us friends now. We talk on a regular basis, but William Bagley, who's also an indie director, he did
Hmm.
the Murder Podcast. I
Oh
love
yeah.
that movie. It's really fun. I think it came out 2 years ago on film festival, and I watch it like every October now. He finally was able to get it on Prime, and I think it might be on Tubi as well.
Hmm.
But it's one of those things too where he doesn't get the push. He doesn't have the reach. I mean, and the thing that really does suck too is that, like, if you were to Google murder podcast without the murder podcast, you're just going to get a whole bunch of
Like
podcasts
true.
about
Yeah.
murder. Um, but I mean, no, and it's fun, and it's one of those things too. It's gonna bring you in because of the poster and the title, but there's substance there. There's good things there. And he's actually, working on a new one right now that he did a Kickstarter for. So yeah, I mean, yeah, and like you said, that's the thing that kind of sucks is that you have, whoever made this indie director, and it's like you kind of you take, because indie director, I feel like, to me, is like, that's a big title to put on
Yeah.
yourself when you've made some good projects, and you're pouring water on a flaming cool title, and then you're just like, I don't really care. I mean, I make stuff too,
Yeah.
but you're not gonna be in the same room, man. Like, making this kind of stuff, you're not
Yeah.
in the same league. If you're in it to make money or to get the clicks, just make YouTube. Make YouTube shorts. Don't try to like trick people. This is we get it. Trick or treat. It's Halloween, but like, you don't have to literally do that.
Yeah. It's not, like I said, I want to reiterate, it's not that I'm hating on it because it's low budget or that like the premise is sort of non-existent, although that's also, I mean, clearly that's an issue, but it's just the lack of effort. It's just,
Yeah.
it feels so lazy and cynical. If you're going to make a movie, at least try, like at least
Yeah.
just feel like, I will never fault a movie for clearly having a vision and a thought behind it. Maybe that thought is like misguided. Maybe that vision is very blurry. But, I can see where you could always tell when there's at least effort. And I'm sure you're like this when you review stuff, where we could probably say, okay, maybe this wasn't the best, but I can see where this was going. I can see that like there was some effort. Maybe the budget wasn't there. The story just needed another like pass or something. But when you have that kind of energy behind it, like you can feel that. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can feel that kind of love and passion. Like there's some films that I review that I'm like, yeah, this was not very good, but clearly y'all are horror fans. Like clearly you had a great time making this.
Yeah.
Like you can grow from this, but like you had that energy behind it. And this was just like, meh.
Yeah. I mean, I think to kind of piggyback off what you said is, I mean, you could clearly tell that there was no passion when they did the repetitive lines. It was just like, oh, you guys don't care.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's literally it's probably 5 minutes of the guy saying the same thing
Yeah.
in different ways over and over. He's sitting down saying it, and then he gets up and says, and he walks over somewhere else, and you're like, y'all are
Like, we're good.
this is a
Yeah.
joke.
He's like, we gotta
and
sell.
and I know that the mayor, because his face kind of looked familiar. He's a boxing promoter.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I don't know if they're buddies, and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Because even then, it's like you get somebody who kind of wants to act, because then it will feel a little more passionate, a little more real, instead of someone who might have been like a buddy that you needed that could maybe sound like a mayor or
Yeah.
some kind of political figure. And the guy plays Greg. I feel like if they had a full script, he can decently act.
Yeah, he wasn't bad. Yeah.
Yeah, there were some lines, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds really good." When he was kind of like, "I can't do this no more. I mean, I'm not equipped." And there was like, okay, there's some moments, very small pocket moments, but like, I don't really, like you said, I think they were ad-libbing. I don't think that there was a full script. It was more just like, "Hey, you feel scared right now. Just go." And he just started making up stuff.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like he was not bad. You're only as good as your material, and there really wasn't any material. I think it was like I literally think the whole thing was sort of ad-libbed. It would just astonish me if there was like an actual like somebody wrote this script. Like I would kind of love, but also at the same time maybe not, like to talk to the filmmaker and just get their kind of like just defend your art, like what,
Yeah, yeah,
because it feels so lazy and boring. If you as a filmmaker don't give a shit, how are people supposed to give a shit? and and,
yeah,
and let's listen, I know people will, there's certain people that will like this movie. That's great. I i love liking things. I would much rather talk about a great movie, or not even just a great movie, a fun movie, or just like a, hey, this was a good time. I just
yeah,
like a good time to just put on for background noise or whatever. Like you know, probably the same with you. I hate writing a bad review.
yeah,
Like it
yeah.
sort of like hurts my soul a little bit. Like I feel like if you're a critic and you like writing bad reviews, maybe you shouldn't be a critic.
Right.
I don't feel bad trashing a movie that is so soulless and cynical and like you said, cash grab. I think is sort of like is the headline. The new Exorcist seems to be like a great example of just being like this sort of like, oh, remember this thing?
Yeah.
Give me your money.
Hey, that's not just one girl possessed. There's two.
Oh, you get two possessions for the price of one. I heard that they paid $400 million for the rights to
Yeah.
that IP.
I just a buddy of mine had just messaged me on Facebook talking about that, because we
Mm.
saw this a screening of it together, and he was like, hate it. And I was like, I didn't completely hate it. It definitely was that, oh, there's two this time. And I was like, that you could have done better.
Yeah.
But yeah, he sent me that same thing, talking about how much they paid, and then the sequels might go straight to Peacock. And I was like, y'all should have gave this to
Oh,
Netflix or something and let them go full
yeah.
whatever with it. Because Peacock, I feel like they have, of course, your rated R films on there, but they're films that are already established. I don't know if they're like in the market to make like a super R rated scary horror films.
I still want to see it, and I feel like we should come back for that and to get into that, because I feel like even that being bad like will be infinitely more fun to talk about.
Yeah,
But
I mean, exactly no, that's exactly it. Like, kind of like once you see poster, the trailer, you go, oh, but there is a lot of good things that it does. It just wasn't able to execute everything the way that it could have been done. But you can definitely feel like, oh, they're really trying to push a message. They're really trying to amp up what they thought was missing possibly, or
Yeah.
but they just didn't, I think I put my review, like my written one, the dial should have been turned to 10. And they turned it to maybe, a 5 or a 6.
Like
And
a mild, sensible,
yeah, I feel like, certain studios are afraid to do what a Rob Zombie is willing to do.
Yeah.
And fully go like, oh, freak people out type of horror.
Yes. Okay. So, thank you so much. Yeah, like people like shit talk on Rob Zombie, but like, would you rather have something that's like very safe and bland and like market tested, or would you rather have something that's like, okay, yeah, maybe sometimes it doesn't all connect, but like it's entertaining and it's different and it's like its very own thing. Like,
Yeah.
do I love everything about Rob Zombie's movies or his Halloween movies? No. I mean, there are issues, but are they entertaining as fuck?
Yeah.
Yes. Like, will I watch the shit out of them this month? Also, yes. Um, and just to bring it back to this though, like people like I don't understand why his Monsters got like a lot of hate because that was a fun movie.
Yeah.
I'm not somebody that like, okay, I'm like ride or die. I won't mention any of the bad things because his Monsters movie did have a lot of issues, but did it capture that essence of that show?
Yeah.
Hell yes, it did. Was it fun to watch? Hell yes, it was. Was it a little too long? Also yes, but I still had a good time.
Yeah.
And he takes an IP that he clearly loves, and like the art design and like the set design and shit on that was like bananas good. Like
Yeah.
I feel like even people that sort of hated on it sort of had to begrudgingly give a lot of
Yeah.
to like how gorgeous and beautiful those stylized sets and stuff were, but like yeah, like this. And that's kind of what pisses me off. I feel like people like give the Amityville movies like a pass because they're supposed to be dumb and bad and like,
Right.
but then when somebody tries their heart out to make something really passionate, like they're passionate about, and it's like, oh well, I already hate it. Fuck you. Like
Yeah,
next.
and I think that's why horror is one of the best genres, because this is the genre where you're supposed to experiment. You want to
Yeah.
try to push boundaries, you want to try something new, because there are a lot of different things that are terrifying to people. You have some people who don't like, like holes in things. Like they look at Swiss cheese and they're freaked out, or people who don't like the dark, or you don't like silences, or whatever the case may be. You're supposed to try new things and do it in a artistic way. And this film, it didn't try anything new. If anything, they didn't really try at all. I mean,
Yeah.
they went through the motions. And I mean, even the little effects with all the different zombies and dinosaurs and sharks, that's almost kind of just like, they opened up some software and said, click, drag, all those. And it's
Yeah.
like, come on, man. Like, you could at least tried to make it fit and not just some
Yeah.
random shit.
I don't understand what that had to do with anything. Birdemic, for example, like as misguided and bad as that was, at least the first one, like he had a vision, he had like a message he was trying to push. And I'm not saying message pushed in necessarily good or bad way, but just like there was a thought, real thought behind it. And after his movie became sort of like a so bad it's like enjoyable kind of movie, the sequels just kind of it loses the magic because it's in on the joke now.
Yeah.
So it's not only is it like, okay, yeah, we kind of like, oh haha, the birds are like really bad clip art birds that explode. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. Like it's hard to sort of make another movie that is that earnest and has that passion without any sort of like, oh, this is goofy,
Right.
because the first one was sort of made in a vacuum where he thought that this was sort of a masterpiece, and he was going to wake everybody up to like global warming and stuff, and it's just, I mean, that's why like I will watch something like Birdemic over Amityville Death Toilet like any day of the week.
I really think they just wanted for people to say out loud Amityville Death Toilet.
I mean, that's kind of sounds like a really awesome band name, though.
I know.
Like, I was thinking this could definitely be a good indie punk band name.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was really just awful, and the filmmakers should feel bad for making it, and it feels mean to say that, but I also had to watch it, so fuck you, filmmakers.
Yeah, man. This is one of those ones where you it's so bad that you have to talk about it because you just want somebody to like, you want people to know, like, look, I
Yeah.
suffered. Okay.
So you're gonna have to suffer too.
Yeah.
It's like trauma bond. And I'm not making light of that because that's a real thing, but like it's kind of like you're like, okay, yeah, like did you see that shit too? Like
Yeah. We all just got shit on. Did you yep, I got shit on too.
yeah, so I feel like that's probably a good place to sort of end this very shit-tastic episode. I feel like it was way more fun talking about it, and hopefully it was more fun listening to us talk about it than actually watching it. But if you do want to see it, we will link where you can check that out in the description, or just check out a better movie. I will tease something that I'm making, which is a top 10 underrated films that you can stream. Smash that like, but like that guy was saying.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave comments below. Stick with me.
Don't forget to smash that like button, guys. Don't forget to just slam it hard.
We need to keep our URL for something, but really though, do subscribe because we are coming out with great content. I'm going to be one of 3 people from our team covering New York Comic-Con. So we are going to have a lot of cool stuff. I've signed up for some horror panels and I'm really excited. Don't want to miss that. And thank you for hanging out with us.